So you can do it in intro.
Sorry?
First I think you should do it in this one intro.
Okay. Hi everyone. This is Mikaal Zulfiqar. I'm predominantly an actor in Pakistan. I work in film and television, and other than that, I do commercial work, hosting, stuff related to uh, being an actor and a model, appearing in music videos. I also produce, and I also have some business concerns on the side, and that's about it. So I first started acting when I started modeling initially, but even in modeling I used to do commercials, and commercials is more acting based rather than modeling. I was always more inclined towards acting, and then about a year into modeling, I was offered my first TV play, which was a full on TV drama, and I played. It was called Yaad To Aayenge, and It was also Reema Khan's first TV appearance, and I played her young cousin who was madly in love with her, but she ends up marrying someone else. So, bada dukhi mera character tha usme. 2007. It was about six years into the business, and it's when I was called to England for a film shoot on site, जिसमें I was the lead against Nasiruddin Shah and Om Puri, and that kind of gave me the feeling that okay, if I can make it to this stage, then it means I've made it. There's especially the transition from modeling to acting, because I mean the biggest transition from modeling to acting is obviously modeling where you're not speaking. You're just trying to look good, whereas in acting. You're trying to perform a character and उसमें voice or dialogues और ये सारी चीज़ें आ जाती हैं, so it obviously changes the whole dynamic. I think the first 5 years of my acting career, before that Nasiruddin Shah wala experience, I was a little oblivious to what I'm doing. I think I was very lucky to secure work, but I think मेरी command नहीं थी. In fact, that command even came much later, after the shoot on site project, which I mentioned earlier. It came probably about 10 years into the business, where I felt that now I have command over what is acting, what am I supposed to do when I'm on set, what should I be doing if I'm given a character, how am I supposed to do it, understanding light, camera, vocal, body language, facial expressions, dialogue delivery. I think my passion was there. I think passion is something else, and command on your business. They say in any business, no matter what you do, it takes 10,000 hours. That's for a for a pilot to fly a commercial plane, he has to have 10,000 hours of flying experience. So 10,000 hours of doing anything. I think if you do something for 10,000 hours, you start. That's when you start mastering it. So I suppose maybe 10 years was roughly 10 years. Maybe not exactly 10 years, but roughly maybe 7-8 years to be exact. There was a couple. I mean, I was very influenced by Western media, Western music, Western, Hollywood. Actors I really looked up to. I really loved Anthony Hopkins as an actor, and I used to love his movies. And I also like mainstream actors. I was always been a fan of Leonardo DiCaprio, even people like Brad Pitt, and जो mainstream actors हैं who are known as the chocolate hero, so to speak. But I think they're very good performers as well. I think कोई भी जो है उस stage पे सिर्फ looks पे नहीं पहुंच सकता. You have to have some ability.
I think a lot of those actors
He is, yeah. Even back then, actually, like some of his early work, like Basketball Diaries and stuff like that. Well, I mean, I started my career in Pakistan, but I was always lucky enough to work internationally as well, and I've done several projects in India. India is obviously a much larger market than Pakistan, and and because of that reason, it's a much bigger setup. It's a much more professional atmosphere. The scale of projects is much, is very different. There are also some other differences. Bollywood is a very larger than life, very singing and dancing and all of that. Whereas Pakistani media, and although we do some of that in film, but Pakistani media is more closer to reality. Our dramas are a lot more real. I feel our scripts are real, our characters are realer. Indian cinema and Indian television is a lot more exaggerated. वो इतना close to reality नहीं होता, वो आपको थोड़ा सा ज़रा dreamy या out of this world लगता है. Whereas I think Pakistani cinema and Pakistani television जो है, it's a lot more closer to reality. Our stories are, our characters are. No, obviously, I mean, it's obviously nicer to work in a bigger market, where you have more exposure, where, you're working with, a larger crew, with better equipment, better locations, So obviously it's nicer working in that environment. I have my mood swings when it comes to interviews. There'll be times when I'll say yes to every interview, and then there'll be a time when I'll say no to every interview. I think it depends a lot on the way I'm feeling, whether I want to talk about stuff, whether maybe something's come up recently which I don't want to talk about too much, so I don't want to be asked a question which I don't want to have to respond to. But my biggest issue with interviews is, I just want that, and that's not just with me, I find that with everyone in Pakistan, that, the interviewers jo hote hain yahan, they don't research the person they want to interview. And they end up asking questions, which are irrelevant, so to speak, or they'll end up asking questions which you've answered many a time before. I'll give you an example. So one of the questions is like, आपने अपना career कैसे शुरू किया? या आपका पहला project क्या था? Did you ask me that question? You didn't. You asked me my first project. But, they asked me, how did you start your career? And my now response to that question is, why don't you go and pick up one of my old interviews? Because I've answered this 100 times before, So, और क्या होता है कि usually आपके interviews, हर बंदे की अपनी fan following होती है. So usually आपके interviews जो है ना, वही लोग देखते हैं जो आपके fans होते हैं usually. कुछ नए लोग भी देखते हैं, लेकिन ज़्यादातर I think वो लोग देखते हैं जो आपके fans होते हैं. और जो आपके fans होते हैं, they've already seen so many of your interviews that they know they'll know the answer to that question, So I just feel that, an interview should be well researched about the topic that they're speaking. And if they're speaking to a person or a personality, they should know, not everything, but they should have research on that person, So that's my only issue with interviews. Yeah, I mean, sometimes you're going to an interview, that's an intelligent way to look at an interview, because if the interview, if you're expecting it to be fun and games, or to be asked awkward questions, I mean, another reference I could give you is In Between Two Ferns. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
In Between Two Ferns, वो Zach Galifianakis जो करता है, हाँ, वो तो बिल्कुल ही ऐसे, मतलब obscene सवाल पूछता है वो, but if you're ready for that, that's something else. But when you go to an interview, where someone's called you for an interview and then they're just asking you like dumb questions, it's really annoying. Yeah. Yeah, that's I mean, the whole entire UPhone campaign is at least 5-7 years old now.
But that stunt work, was it?
I mean, if you look at it that way, I mean, I suppose the first UPhone commercial we did was a concept of jumping out of a plane, and that was really kind of shocking. What do you mean, like that? And until we actually, because we shot that in Malaysia or Bangkok, I don't remember now. And until we got on set, I was just like, they're just randomly saying that it's not going to happen. Although it was all based on a set. In fact, I recently posted the making of that ad on my Instagram, so you can check that out. But yeah, I mean, they've been, I've been very blessed to have experienced a lot, and I've worked not just extensively in Pakistan but abroad as well. And I mean, it'd be very hard to sum up one experience. I mean, there've been tons of experience. I mean, I think what I'm most privileged of is that I've had the opportunity of working with the finest actors from across the globe, and and I've from the start, and ab itna nahi, but especially in the start mein, I used to really cherish that experience, and sit down with those actors, and really try and learn about the craft, and learn about the business. And I think whatever success I may have achieved till now, is due to my own perseverance of trying to acquire that information. So I mean, that's something I look back on, I think. And
But do you now find yourself like giving advice to younger actors?
I do, and because not just advice, but I support younger actors. And I support, and not just actors, but people who want to enter this business, because unfortunately in this country there is no kind of formal training, or formal institutes. You're lucky enough to study in NCA now, and there's other universities and colleges that offer degrees now, which is great. And I really think once students like yourself, and and students from other universities graduate, and it'll take time, but I think it will really excel our industry in Pakistan, because what we have been lacking is education, and an educated mindset coming into the business. Actually, ये जो हमारा काम है ना, ये बहुत इंटेलिजेंट काम है. लोग समझते हैं कि ये शायद इतना इंटेलिजेंट नहीं है, या ये कोई the word in my mind जो आ रहा है वो, it's not suitable for me to say on camera, but लोग इसको यहाँ लोग इसको यहाँ ना गंदा काम समझते हैं in a way, and ये गंदा काम नहीं है, ये बड़ा इंटेलिजेंट काम है. And how I can answer that is कि अगर आप पढ़े लिखे हैं, तो if I want to entertain you while showing you a television or a film project, तो फिर उसमें कुछ interesting और intelligent होगा, तो फिर आप बैठ के देखोगे. You're not gonna sit and just watch junk or watch something meaningless. तो इसलिए ये intelligent काम है, because अगर आपने intelligent viewers को कैप्टिवेट करना है, तो फिर आपको इंटेलिजेंट और अच्छी बात कर रहे होगे, तो फिर होगा. अगर आप इंडियन सिनेमा को देखो, 90s में दिल वाले दुल्हनिया ले जाएंगे और इस तरह के उनका एक बड़ी रस्टिक और उस तरह की फील थी, और अब का उनका काम देखो तो वो बहुत हाईली पॉलिश्ड एंड एट पार विद हॉलीवुड आप कह सकते हो. तो इंडिया वेंट थ्रू द एग्जैक्ट सेम रेवोल्यूशन. जब उनके पढ़े लिखे बच्चे जो हैं फिल्म मेकर्स पढ़ के आए, तो they revolutionized the business, and that's the exact same change that we need here in this country.
I feel like there's also some.
I want to take Pakistani media onto Netflix as an original. That's what I'd love to do. I'd love to come up with a concept which is universally acceptable, and puts Pakistan on the map, and gives the talent that we have here the real limelight that it deserves. Because I think we're extremely talented, not just in actors, but in filmmakers and writers, and generally ये subcontinent वाले में ना, we're good thinkers. So there's so much more to explore, so many historical things we can do, so many futuristic things we can do. So I would, I'm not selfish in my gains. I think I'm more passionate about us growing overall, as an industry, as a country, as a community. So I would, rather than my own personal gains, I would love to see Pakistan really excel to the stage and the limelight that it deserves. Thank you. Thank you.
I hope this was
This was fun. Yeah. I hope.